Hi there, my name is Aaron Short and welcome to my YouTube channel, and today I'm talking about the LR Baggs AEG-1 acoustic guitar. I already have a bunch of videos on this guitar, so please check them out. I have an unboxing, comparisons, live streams, an interview with LR Baggs. But before these go back to them, I wanted to really summarize my thoughts after a couple of months to tell you what I think about these so far. So I will put the product link below so you can find out more about the specs and everything. But to summarize, there's 3 models. They are thin guitars, and they use LR Baggs' new Hi-Fi Duet pickup system, which is a body sensor and a microphone. Let's check them out up close, and I'll give you my initial thoughts on the looks of these guitars. First of all, let me show you the gig bag. These do come with a gig bag, as most guitars do these days, but it makes sense with this guitar as it is supposed to be a stage guitar, I guess, so it makes sense to have a gig bag to carry it around in. It's a very nice bag. It's got a big pocket on the front here for your cables, and also a pocket at the top for accessories and strings. There's the back, high quality straps. It's nice. This is the Sunburst model, which I checked out first of all. And I don't usually like Sunburst guitars, but they did a very good job on this one, in my opinion. Sunburst does pick up fingerprints. As you can see, the finish on these guitars is a gloss. And when you've got the gloss and the Sunburst, you can get a lot of fingerprints showing. My only criticism with this really is that the sound hole is not finished on the Sunburst model. And you can see it kind of looks strange. I think they should try to paint that. I don't know how they would do it, but if that Sunburst was inside on that bare wood as well, I think it would look more complete and nicer. This is the Engelmann Spruce model, so straight away you can see it hides the fingerprints better. I think this guitar looks really nice. It's plain, but looks modern. I like this finish a lot. And you can see we've got the strap button here. It's metal. It's nice up here because it doesn't get in the way when you're playing the guitar. And the back looks really nice on this one. I love the contrast here. You can really see the plywood on this model as well, which I like a lot. Here's the jack. So this is the same on all the guitars. It's very easy to release the battery like that and change it in a gig, but the battery life is way over 100 hours, so that's great. You shouldn't need to do that very often. And there is a light on the top that clearly tells you the battery life. It's actually on all the time. So you know all the time very easily how much battery life is left in the guitar. So I really like the look at this one. This is the Engelmann Spruce. And then last but not least, because this is probably my favorite guitar of all 3 of them, this is the torrified version. So this top is torrified. I don't normally like that on acoustic guitars, but I think it works on this particular guitar. The only thing I'll say is all these tops, especially on this model, look very different. So that's why I like a place like Sweetwater, where they show you photographs of the guitar before they send it out to you. So I really like how this guitar looks with the darker top. You still got the contrast of the sound hole on the sides and much more contrast on the back, of course. The neck is bolted on, and I really like this neck. This neck is kind of not too fat, not too thin. Reminds me of the Martin Standard series, maybe slightly thicker. Hard to tell because all necks are slightly different when they're made in the factory. Even if they're CNC, they're usually finished by hand. The nut width is a bit less than 1 3/4, but my thoughts on that are it's about the whole neck as a whole. So because the neck is a little bit bigger feeling to me, the narrower nut makes more sense and it feels great all over. But that's such a subjective thing. You really need to make your own decisions about that. So that's my thoughts on the looks of the 3 models and the construction. But what do these actually sound like? They actually sound quite different when you really listen to them. Especially in person, I found when I listened with the headphones to the 3 different models, I heard some distinct differences in the tonal qualities. I made a video a few weeks ago comparing the 3, and I'm going to drop that in here now so you can hear back to back what these guitars sound like, recorded direct to the interface. So what did you think? In my opinion, the Engelmann has more of a kind of sweeter sound. We're good for singer-songwriter styles. Torrified has more of a stronger mid-range to me, which I like, a bit more of a focused mid-range. And the Sunburst, which is just a plain Sitka top, basically under the Sunburst, is kind of in the middle. I really think they all sound quite a little bit different, which is often my findings with guitars, and also guitars within the same wood types as well. So again, you really want to play these in person. But from what others have told me, this kind of correlates with their feelings as well about this. So let me know in the comments below what you think about the sound of the three guitars, and do watch in 4K and do use headphones if possible. So my favorite looks-wise and sound-wise of these three guitars is probably the Torrified, and the sound being the most important factor. The setup is also very good. I think the setups seem to vary a little bit to me. They are being finalized at LR Bags by LR Bags themselves. I'm a little bit disappointed they didn't use stainless steel frets, but that's something that I'm very passionate about. So stainless steel frets with a plec would really take these to another level. But let's not forget the price. The pickup system in the guitar retails at $450 right now. That's the Hi-Fi Duet. And the guitar is around $1,500. So you're actually getting very good value for money here. And if they added things like stainless steel frets and a plec, it would definitely add to the price. So I don't think they're essential. The guitar plays very nicely. So what do I think about this? Well, here's the thing. I've been thinking long and hard about this, but honestly, I think this is probably the most natural sounding analog plugged in acoustic guitar tone I've ever heard. But I also wonder if that's what people want. And we're in a kind of strange place right now with acoustic guitar amplification. We have a lot of people coming from the world of a basic undersaddle pickup that are now finding new pedals and guitars and pickup systems that are drastically different to what they're used to. I'm not going to say they're better or worse. My gut feeling is if you come to this from a lesser sounding system or just a very plain sounding pickup, it might kind of throw you. And I have to say, I do find these guitars, even though they're very thin, very heavy on the low end. And that's not my preference. It may be your preference. Some things I've discovered about these guitars is that I like to do a high pass filter. I've actually been doing it around 130, which is pretty drastic. And I like to cut around 2K with a very narrow cut as well, because I don't like the sound of 2K in acoustic guitars. That's not just this guitar, it's most acoustic guitars, even unplugged. So I do think these benefit from external EQ, and I do think maybe that could have been built into the controls. But then again, most of us have access to external EQ anyway, so it's not really a big problem. I certainly think if you strum, if you like a natural sound, and there's plenty of people out there that constantly say they want to hear the sound of a natural acoustic guitar. Well, that's what this is. This is a very natural sound. But I am coming from the world of undersaddle pickups as well. That's what I've been using the last few years. So I find that some external EQ can really shape this. Try cutting the lows and try boosting the mids if that's what you're used to. When you first get the guitar, I would set the mic blend and the tone to around 50% and see what you think. But if you're not finding it cutting enough, then do try a high pass filter anywhere between 80 and 130, and also boost the mids if you're used to that more mid-range sound of an undersaddle pickup. So why didn't LR Bags put an undersaddle pickup in here? I do wonder why they didn't, because they still sell the Anthem that has an undersaddle pickup, and they sell the Hi-Fi Duet. I think this guitar may have benefited from an undersaddle. The only thing is it would make it more complicated, it wouldn't sound as natural, and it would make it more expensive as well. Whether they choose to do that in the future, I don't know. I guess it will depend on feedback from users. I don't think it's so important as long as you EQ the guitar correctly. Having said that, let's take a look at the controls, because I do have some thoughts on those. Okay, so the first control on the top here is a volume control. What I'm finding is it doesn't make that much difference between 3/4 and maximum. So this is 3/4 and maximum. I personally would like to see that change so you get more of an increase. Otherwise, to go from rhythm to lead, I have to go from 50% all the way around to 100%. For me, it's a big change. I mean, I can do it. It's not what I'm used to, and maybe you'll disagree, but that's just a thought I have on the volume control. The mic control works well. I usually leave it around 50%. That's really a personal preference. And there is a mic gain control down here in the bottom of the guitar, but I suggest you leave that as it is because LR Bags are setting that at the factory. Then we have the tone control. So this is no tone, all the way through to 50 and up to 100. So that's more of a presence control. which I do find useful. And finally, a phase button. So I would try that at a gig to see, does it sound better with it in or out? I do feel they could have made the tone more powerful, or maybe added another control. I don't know. I get simplicity, but as I said earlier, I would quite like the tone control as I bring it up to lower the bass and boost the mid. So it's more of a tone in that regard rather than just a presence control. Or maybe add another control for the mid range. I just think that boosting the mid and cutting the low can just make this better for lead work. Or maybe even like a high pass filter button that you engage and it comes on at 120 or something. So you can kind of go from that natural sound of just going straight in to that more EQ'd focus sound. That's just my thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like I said, I'm using a lot of external EQ. I'll play now with the EQ completely off. The guitar is just at 50%. This is what it sounds like out of the box going straight into your computer, and the vocal mic is muted. And now this is the EQ that I've been applying with the Quad Cortex. High pass filter 130, 2K narrow cut, and a slight mid boost sometimes. And here's the guitar in the room, just in case you wonder what the guitar sounds like acoustically. So obviously the guitar doesn't have the bass of a Martin Dreadnought, but the sound acoustically is actually very good. It's loud enough to be a really great couch guitar. I did notice the guitar's on the heavier side compared to other acoustic guitars. They are around 6.5 pounds. If you're coming from an electric, that's still very light. My guitars, because I tend to travel so light, are around 2 pounds lighter. So I do notice that with the rig that I like to use a super light rig for traveling on public transport. But again, that's really personal preference. Some people like heavier guitars, and some people say heavy guitars sound better. With the construction of this particular guitar, I don't think it's something they could just do where they just make it lighter. That would affect the design and therefore the sound of the guitar. So I think they've done the right thing here. It's just something to bear in mind. So I'm so glad that LR Baggs did this. I've actually been saying the last few years that it might make a lot of sense to some people, including myself, to have a stage guitar that's built for the stage, so comfortable, thin, and feedback resistant, and then have your recording guitars at home, either with or without a pickup. LR Baggs have really thought about this as well, because you can buy their stage guitar, the AEG-1, or you can buy that same pickup system, the Hi-Fi Duet, and put it into your favorite guitar. Or keep that guitar fully acoustic and use the AEG-1 on stage. They seem to be thinking the way that I am, and I'm glad about that. That's really great. What could be done next? Well, I have no idea. I don't know if LR Baggs are going to do different models or do a digital version where you could program in all these EQs that I've been talking about today and different sounds. And are they going to add different pickups? Are they going to change the pickup? I have no idea. Maybe they'll just stick with this model. It's a great achievement. It really is. I still believe it's one of the most natural sounding analog acoustic guitars I've heard, because I've heard a lot of them. Is it for you? Only you can decide that. I hope what I've given you today has really helped you make that decision. Ultimately, you should really try one, because these things are so personal. I just think this is such a great achievement, and I can't believe someone else hasn't done this sooner. We've seen stage guitars from other companies over the last few years, but no one's really offered a brand new pickup system to go with it. So having a brand new guitar and a brand new pickup system come together like this is really, really exciting to me. So if you've tried one of these, please put your thoughts in the comments below and let me know what you think. And if you're new here, please subscribe and ring the bell. I'll have more to come from these guitars and LR Baggs in the future, as well as other electroacoustic stage guitars as well. So stay tuned for those. And until next time, take care and be well. Thank you. Bye-bye.